Welcome back, Wildcat Nation, to episode 7 of season 7. I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf here on Wildcat Week, and today we have no guests. We're just going to be talking about sports. And lucky for you guys, that means Crossroads League Week in Review is right here with Isaac.
So we'll start in baseball, where number 19 Taylor played a doubleheader against Madonna. The Trojans won by a combined score of 23-3. Game 1 was 15-3. Game 2 was 8-0. Sam Glad was named Baseball Player of the Week in the Crossroads League, batting .500 across 2 games with a home run, a double, 2 runs, and 4 RBI. Dalton Swinehart for the Trojans was the Pitcher of the Week as he closed out Game 2 of the doubleheader, giving up 1 hit and 1 walk in 2 innings. In softball, the Player of the Week was Brooke Meeker of Spring Arbor. Meeker went 3 for 4 with a walk in the Cougars' season-opening 8-3 win over Concordia of Michigan. She drove in 2 runs and scored 2 of her own as well. And the Pitcher of the Week was Emily Underwood of Spring Arbor. Underwood pitched a complete game for the Cougars, not allowing an earned run and striking out 7. Now, Indoor Track Nationals will take place this weekend in Gainesville, Florida. In total, the Crossroads League has 77 individual event qualifiers, and some of those qualifiers are participating in multiple events. 23 relay teams from the conference also made the cut. So Marion leads the way. They were the conference champion in men's and women's for Crossroads League, and they have 29 individual event qualifiers and 6 teams. IWU second with 12 individual event qualifiers and 5 teams. Taylor's third with 11 and 3. And then Huntington, the other Crossroads League school, in double digits with 10 individual qualifiers and 2 teams. Bethel, Mount Vernon, Spring Arbor, St. Francis, Grace, and Goshen all have at least 1 qualifying individual or team.
Nice. It's a lot of people for track.
Yes.
Well, moving on to swim, they're not in the Crossroads League because Bethel and IWU are the only 2 teams with swim, so they compete in different conferences. But for Bethel, they will bring 12 swimmers to nationals. They're actually hosting March 5th through the 8th, so a little bit of time. But IWU finished second at Mid-South Conference, just behind University of Cumberland's, had multiple program records and podium finishes. But the national qualifiers will be Emma Bledsoe. She's going to swim 2 IM, 100 breast, and 200 breast. Sydney Campbell's going to swim 50 free, 100 free, 200 free. Gracie Lynn Hill will swim 400 IM, 2 fly, and the mile. But she's also just super good at distance events. Raina Hoffman will swim 200 IM, 100 back, and 200 back. Chloe Hogue, 50 free, 100 fly. Marta Sinsbaugh will swim 50 free, 100 fly, and 100 free. And then Macy Schmidtgall, who is also our guest, will dive 1 meter and 3 meter. And then for men's, they're actually sending 2 national qualifiers, which is the first time ever in the program history. They finished 4th at Mid-South Conference, just 0.5 behind Shawnee State. It's their highest finish in program history. So David Beatty will swim 50 and 100 free, and then Grant Brown will swim 50 free, 100 fly, and 100 back. If you're a longtime listener, they were our guests last year. So now you must have noticed we didn't talk about basketball.
Yeah, no basketball yet, but now we're going to talk about the offensive and defensive players of the week. It was Cademan Bontrager of Indiana Wesleyan for the offensive player of the week this week. He averaged 26 points per game on 68% shooting this week in wins over Goshen and Marion. That was highlighted by a 32-point performance at Goshen on Wednesday. He also added 9 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 1.5 blocks per win. The defensive player of the week is Gabe Newhoff of Spring Arbor. Newhoff helped Spring Arbor to 2 key victories to secure a top 4 seed in the Crossroads League Conference Tournament. Newhoff had 3 blocks in an upset of number 10 Bethel and averaged 22 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1.5 blocks per game in the 2 wins. And you will see those 2 face off tonight in the first round of the men's conference tournament, which we will get to in a little bit.
And moving on to women's, the offensive player is Alana Nelson from Spring Arbor. She averaged 27 points per game in their games against Bethel and number 9 St. Francis. She had double-doubles in both games with 11.5 rebounds, averaging 11.5 rebounds, shot 47% from the field, and had 32 of her team's 57 points in the last 2 St. Francis. So scoring 32 against that high of a ranked team is impressive. And then defensive player of the week, no surprise here, it's Abby McNally from Marion. Although they lost against Indiana Wesleyan, they had a win over Mount Vernon. She averaged 21 points, 15 rebounds, 2.5 steals, 2.5 assists, and 1 block per outing, and she posted a double-double in both games.
Yeah. And on that senior day, obviously the women's game was the first of the 2, and then the men followed. Indiana Wesleyan beat Marion 88-73. And they outshot the Knights 60% to 34% as a team. First half was very efficient. They were up 49-32 at halftime, and then Marion actually outscored us in the second half 41-39. Not our best defensive performance, but it was really close to the end where they hit a barrage of threes. Cademan Bontrager was the leading scorer with 20. Luke Brown added 18. Isaac Andrews added 15. Griffin Cleaver, 10 points on his senior night. Kyle Sanders also got the start, hit a 3, so that was cool to see. Also celebrated our managers, Drew and Ashton, on senior day as well. And so that sets up the matchup with Spring Arbor on tonight. That would be tonight. And again, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but you can talk about the women's game now.
Yeah, the women's game was crazy. We were both on the call for that. You were on TV, and I was on play-by-play for the radio, and that was just insane. But it went into overtime. Marion ended up winning 92-84, but it was just a crazy game. Lucky was popping, especially when the men's game fans started coming in. Yeah. But last
standing
game,
room only for all of overtime.
Yeah, it was a lot. And on paper, it was pretty even. Marion outstole Indiana Wesleyan 12-8, and IWU had 19 turnovers, which I'm not sure on the stat, but that has to be their most turnovers of the year.
Very uncharacteristic.
Yeah,
yes.
For sure. But they're not playing with Lily Frazier, but hopefully she'll be in for opening round. Not sure on that yet. Don't quote us on that. But Maddie Lawrence just playing so good. Against Marion, she had 27 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds. Taylor Folkema also had 26 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals. Both of them have been playing so good without Lily Frazier in the game. And if they can get all 3 of them going, that's just going to be crazy. And then obviously we talked about Abby McNally already on her stats. But off of turnovers, talked about IWU's turnovers, but Marion outscored IWU 24-12 in those turnovers. And then honestly, I felt like Marion kind of had control in the second half. IWU had a lot, and they were losing. I think it was IWU losing going into that. Or no, they were tied. Right? Mm-hmm. Going into the halftime.
33-33.
And
in the third quarter, I think it was like 47 points between the two teams. It was very, very high scoring compared to the first half.
Yeah. And Abby McNally did not have a good first half. She had 9 points and then went crazy in the second half. This is not released yet, but I think she'll get Conference Player of the Year. That's my hunch.
And that shot by Folkema there at the end, crashing the boards, and because Reed got blocked, I think.
Yeah.
Was nowhere close to the rim, but Folkema's pursuit of the ball, laid it up and in, tied the game at the buzzer to send it to overtime. That was fun to watch.
And then Maddie Lawrence banked in a 3,
yes.
like 10 seconds left in the game.
Right.
And then Marion went down, got a quick bucket, and that's when
there were like 4 straight possessions where there were game-tying or game-changing lead baskets.
Both teams were clutch, and then obviously Marion just was able to finish. So they split the regular season. IWU won at Marion, and then Marion won at Lucky. If they do match up in the championship, it will be in Marion, Indiana, here, not at Marion, but it will be at Indiana Wesleyan, so that'll be a good matchup. But before we get there, we got to talk about all the other teams.
Mm-hmm.
So first up with men's. What do we got?
Everybody plays tonight. This is Tuesday night, February 25th. So the top 8 teams from the conference make the conference tournament. Mm-hmm. And so Grace is the 1 seed, and they will play against Mount Vernon. All the higher seeds are hosting these matchups. So this game is at Grace. Bethel will play against Taylor in the 2-7 matchup. And I think Taylor's actually kind of a sneaky 7 seed. Anton Webb is making a case for Crossroads League Player of the Year. And Bethel is without their leading scorer, Alonis Pachulis. So keep an eye on that matchup. Bethel has, kind of had a rough end to the conference season. Huntington and St. Francis is the 3-6 matchup, and I expect that matchup to be very high scoring. Those are 2 very high-powered offenses, and I believe either team is capable, really, of winning that one. And then Spring Arbor against IWU. This one's at Spring Arbor. We are leaving in approximately 3.5 hours to travel up to the 517 for that matchup, and that's going to be another good one, too. Split the regular season series with them. We beat them at our place, and they beat us at their place. So there's a lot to keep an eye on in those matchups, and I think it could set up some chaos in the second round.
I was talking about this during the broadcast this weekend, but the men's basketball Crossroads League has just been, all over the place this year. IWU obviously was preseason number 1. Saw a lot of struggle at the beginning. But then the teams that no one's really taken over.
Right. Grace is there with Bethel at the top of the conference, 3 losses compared to 4 losses. And then the rest of the conference is really tight. Mm-hmm. Huntington 6, Spring Arbor 7, Iwu 8, St. Francis 8, and then kind of you got the bottom of the conference with Taylor, Mount Vernon, Marion, and Goshen. But that middle of the pack, it's been super tight, and we didn't know where we were going to go going into Saturday's game. So now we get to go to Spring Arbor and get a chance to get redemption on them.
On the women's side, it's been pretty much very obvious.
It's top heavy.
Who's been where. Iwu's obviously had control pretty much the entire year. St. Francis has played really well, and then Marion obviously playing super well. But again, what Isaac said, highest seeds will host, but these games will be on Wednesday, tomorrow. So we'll have the 1 and the 8, Iwu and Goshen. So Goshen will travel here. St. Francis is going to host number 7, Bethel. Marion did get the number 3 seed. That's why the Iwu-Marion game didn't really matter with seeding because it was already kind of set. But Marion will host Mount Vernon. And then number 4, Spring Arbor, will host number 5, Huntington. All the games will start at 7 except the Mount Vernon and Marion game will actually start at 6. The semifinal games will be this Saturday at 1 p.m. at the 2 highest seeds. And then the championship will be on Tuesday over our spring break. So I won't be here, but we'll be keeping in touch, keeping watching. It'll be at 7 p.m. And then Iwu should host all 3 if they win. They are the highest seed. And then they have also already gotten their bid to nationals since they won regular season Crossroads League. So that will begin Friday, March 14th for opening round.
We'll see how they handle the absence of Fraser. Obviously, they've lost the games to St. Francis and Marion without her. And St. Francis and Marion will more than likely play each other in the second round. That actually might be the game of the tournament.
That will be so good.
And then once it gets to the conference tournament final, assuming Indiana Wesleyan handles business, they're going to have to go up against one of those 2 again. And we'll see how that plays out.
I think those 3 teams, I mean, obviously they've all been ranked. They're all in the top, 12 because Marion's 12. So it's been very competitive for sure. But Iwu's pretty much handled business, and Maddie Lawrence just has stepped up so well since Fraser has been gone.
Very impressive.
I mean, I was looking at her past 5 games. Like, on paper, she looks like she averages she averages less than 10 on the season. But if you look at her last 5 games, it was like 21, 18, 11 against Goshen, but they didn't really play her that much. And then 24 or something, and then 27 against Marion. Like, it's just been – and Taylor Folkham has always been good, so.
And that 27 points, I believe, was her career high against Marion. So, yeah, season high 25 points for sophomore year. And nothing higher than that 25. So,
in Lawrence and Folkham had 53 of the 84 points.
Yes, they did. They did a lot of the heavy lifting.
And then Izzy Reed had 12. She hit 4 threes. So, I mean, those top 3 were pretty much picking up the slack there from Lily Frazier being out. But I'm excited to see if Lily can come back and pick up where she left off. If they can have all 3 of those girls firing at once. They're golden. I mean, they've been sitting at number 2 all season, so we'll see.
Looking at Lawrence's stats, that was her career high in points, minutes, field goals made, field goals attempted, 3-point field goals made, and 3-point field goals attempted. So it was a career game across the board for her, and in her 5th year, that's just
against
so
Marion
impressive.
too.
Her resurgence has been incredible ever since being inserted to that starting lineup.
Yeah. It'll be exciting. Basketball postseason is always super exciting, especially being a Wildcat fan. Both teams always tend to compete well nationally. It'll be exciting to watch Iwu because, I mean, we've talked about their struggles when we had Marcus and Luke on, but I think, once postseason hits, everybody's record 0-0.
Yes,
so
yes.
everything changes.
I believe we've won 5 out of our last 6, and so we're putting things together at the right time. We have 6 and 1 in our last 7. So we're putting it together at the right time, and it's just a matter of executing on the road because we've been really good at home. And on the road is games. Where we struggle. Our defense has not quite traveled as well as we'd like it to. And so every game from here on out is going to be on the road, assuming the higher seeds take care of business because we will play the winner of the Grace Mount Vernon matchup. And so then you get to the national championship where we're not going to host. So we're going to be on the road for, possibly another 9 games.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest test for us is can our defense travel?
And Spring Arbor being a faraway conference, not many people will travel. I mean, maybe. You said they had more fans.
Well, yes. Last time we were at Spring Arbor, we had more fans than Spring Arbor did. So, I don't think. Yeah, that wasn't on their J term, so I'm not really sure what the deal was with that. But
IWU parents usually travel really well.
they do. We travel very well. We had more fans at Goshen, and we had more fans at Spring Arbor. So
It's impressive.
I'm sure we'll have a following, especially now that it's postseason.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. And softball kicks off this week on Friday.
You guys are going to Florida.
Yeah. We're supposed to play on Friday, but we've been canceled last Tuesday and last Friday. We're supposed to play this Friday, but we will see. And then we're going to Florida, playing a lot of games. But almost every team in the Crossroads League goes to this tournament in Florida. So it's nice to see, like, getting to watch other people because we get back from spring break and we start conference that Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
So we just hit the ground running, and we have no games under our belt yet. So Taylor kicks off today. Huntington is scrimmage. You mentioned Spring Arbor swept awards, so everybody's getting into it. Spring sports.
What's the lay of the land? How's the Crossroads League looking for softball this season?
We don't do preseason like softball Crossroads League or awards or anything, but Marion came in at number 10 in the NAIA poll. We came in at 12, and after that, everybody was nowhere to be found. Usually Mount Vernon and Spring Arbor will get receiving votes, but they had big graduating classes, so we shall see. I think it'll be like a men's basketball one where everyone's just IWU Marion really close at the top, and the middle of the pack's just going to be
clustered.
Everyone, yeah. Lots of coaching changes, though. Lots of head coaches left last season.
Okay.
So we will see. That's all for our special episode. Any thoughts?
That's all I got.
Hopefully next episode we'll still be cheering on the Wildcat basketball teams. But we will know because this will get posted tonight, and men's basketball does play tonight. So cheer on your Wildcats in all the sports. We got lots of postseasons with track, swim, both basketballs, and then baseball and softball starting up. And like golf, tennis, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of Wildcat sports you can keep up on. Look at IWU Wildcats for a bunch of scores and go out and support your Wildcats. But that's all we have for episode 7. Come back after spring break and we will get to men's track. And I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf here on Wildcat Week presented by Amplify Media.